So, hey folks, how are you all doing today? Now, I have got a very special episode of The Grow Show lined up just for you. Now, we've had this guest on the show a couple of times, and he was a speaker at the recent Grow Live 2020. But do you know what? I don't know him as a speaker. I now know him as a friend because he's such a good dude, and he's just released his fifth book. Is it, Keith? Or is it fourth book?
Number 5, yeah, book number 5.
Number 5, I thought it was. So fifth book, and we're going to talk about it in this very special episode of The Grow Show. So welcome back to The Grow Show, Keith Blakemore Noble. How you doing, buddy? You all right?
Thank you so much. I'm doing fantastic as always. Thank you, and it's always great to be here. Great to be back with you.
Aces. So when Keith told me he was going to kind of release his next book, well, the book is released already on as an ebook, and will be released as a paperback on Saturday, the 3rd of October. I was so chuffed because, Keith, where did it all start out with you with this book, and what is the book called?
2 very good questions. The book itself is called The Masks We Wear. It's absolutely nothing to do with the current global situation, but it's just a really cool title given the content of the book, which we'll look at in a moment. Where it originally came from, can trace it back over probably about 8 years. Its origins are in a talk that was originally just a one-off talk that I did a number of years back. Excuse me, which it wasn't even the main body of the talk itself. I was looking for a good hook, a good intro to hook everybody in. And a nice gimmick for that, I came up with the idea of starting off on stage wearing a mask and showing people how really difficult it is to connect while we're wearing a mask, take the mask off, show we can start to connect, and then went on to the main body of the talk, which was around about connection and how we're all interconnected and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, that was the very beginning for it. It worked. It worked quite well, unfortunately, because this was a last-minute idea. It was so last-minute, I only thought of it on the train on the way up to London the afternoon of the event. So I was frantically looking around the shops to find a mask, and the only one I could get was an Iron Man mask. So about half the audience was sat there going, "Why is he dressing up as Iron Man?" Which wasn't quite the look we were going for. But hey, it worked. And then a year or so later, I think it was, I was in a training class, taking the training because there's always more to learn about everything that we do. This was a speaker training one, and we had to obviously had to deliver a talk. And I thought, oh, I could take the beginning of that talk and I could turn that, because it was only going to be like a 5-minute talk we had to do. I could turn that into a nice 5-minute talk. I wonder if anybody's got a mask. There's a friend of mine, Elliot Kay, was also on the course. And Elliot's the kind of guy who is so prepared. He's got everything. He is prepared for every eventuality. So I said, "Hey, Elliot, I don't suppose you got anything, a mask or something like that?" He went, "Oh, are you doing your mask talk then?" Because he'd been present at when I delivered it about a year ago. I thought, "Oh, I have a talk. And this is a talk somebody's remembered from a year ago. That's interesting." Sure enough, he had a mask, and I went off and did it. And then over the years, I kind of refined the talk a bit, gave it a few more times, focusing more and more and more on the content around masks. And then early this year, because I'm in a networking organization for networking, and like all networking organizations, when the lockdown happened in March, all face-to-face stuff stopped. They went fully online. Where I live, up in the northeast of Scotland, I'm about a 7-hour round trip away from the nearest physical meeting, so it was never an option. I was able to do them all physically, able to do them all virtually online. So I, like most networking events, they have a section where a person gives in this case, an 18-minute talk. So I took my masks talk, polished it up, and delivered it as a one-off. It went down well, started getting asked to do more and more and more of them. So I've delivered that one a couple of dozen times over the past few months. always got great reception, great response. And lots of people were saying, oh, you should turn that into a book, you know. And at first I was thinking, oh, that's a nice thing for you to say. But as with so many things, there's only so many times you can hear the same different people and go, maybe there's something in this. And so having refined and polished the message over a couple of dozen times of delivering it as a talk and getting all the immediate feedback, that gave me enough to sit down and create the entire book. So it takes that talk as the basis and then just really expands, and it goes into a lot more detail on each of the steps. So that's the journey of the book.
I love it.
Far.
I absolutely love it, because I've seen that talk, I think 3 times or 4 times. I think it's probably 3 times, maybe a 4th. And I could pick something out of it differently every single time, which is a sign of a really good talk. But I love the journey of that idea and how it's evolved over time, from just being a small part of one to being, oh, I've got a talk. And, you know, the idea around it. And it just shows that a good idea is a good idea. And actually, I wonder how many people are kind of watching or listening to this who have done a talk in the past, or who have got an idea but haven't done anything with it, you know. And it might not be the right idea in its raw form, but refine it, practice it, test it out on different people, ask for feedback and all that kind of stuff. And suddenly it becomes not too dissimilar to the original idea, but it's the original idea version 3.0, 4.0, 5.0, or, you know, however many numbers you want to put onto it. And I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, if I'd taken the very original talk that I'd done and turned that into a book, I could have done. It would have been okay. If first time I delivered the proper talk, if I'd turned that into a book, it would have been better, because it had been refined over the years. But it was that delivering the same talk 20 or 30 times and getting all the different feedback from people, seeing which bits work, the instant feedback when you deliver it and see the response from the audience, and the messages you get afterwards that help polish and refine it. And even just going over it yourself many times, you refine it, remove the bits that don't quite gel, build upon the parts that really do engage people. And for me, the book is so much stronger as a result. It would have worked as a book if I'd done it earlier, but it would have been nowhere near as powerful, I reckon. And
fair play.
Yeah, as you say, it just goes to show that have an idea. The idea that you have won't necessarily be the final thing, but you've got the kernel of the final thing in there. It's all about polishing it, crafting it, refining it until you get that diamond.
I love it. So let's talk about what makes that diamond, your book. So I believe there's 3 key parts to it. Should we discuss what those parts are?
Absolutely, yes. 3 key parts takes us on the journey. Each part has got 5 chapters, so they go into detail on various aspects of it. The first part is introducing your masks. Actually, I'll list the 3 parts and then we can talk about them, because that'll let us put it all in context. So we start off with part 1, introducing your masks. Part 2 is releasing your masks. And part 3 is beyond your masks. So as you can imagine, with part 1, introducing your masks, we kind of take a look at what is a mask, where do they come from, why do we get them, why do we wear them, what happens when we wear them, and what happens when we take them off. That's what we look at when we introduce the mask. And the mask is basically, as I say, it's not related to the current situation, but it's still, the terminology is the same. It's all these metaphorical masks that we wear when we're hiding aspects of ourselves. And why do we hide those aspects? Because we want people to like us. Deep down, every single one of us have this need to be liked. Nobody likes to be disliked. Not really. We don't really like to be disliked. But the thing is, throughout the whole history of humanity, nobody has been universally loved.
No.
Even Christ, Buddha, the Prophet Muhammad, they all had their detractors. Hey, get this, Gary. Apparently, out there are even people who dislike me.
What?
I know, it's crazy, right?
What? No.
But nobody has been universally liked. That's just the way it is. And that's cool, because none of us like everybody anyway.
True.
We all have people we dislike and like. That's just part of human interaction. There's nothing wrong with it. But we get kind of fixated on this. Oh, what if somebody doesn't like me? And we start hiding behind all of these masks to try and hide the things that they might dislike about us. Where the reality is, well, who cares if they dislike you? They might dislike you. These people, on the other hand, like you, love what you do, need what you have to offer. And when you hide behind those masks, it doesn't really protect you from the people who dislike you, because if they get to know you, they'll start to get glimpses behind the mask and see the real you, which they'll dislike anyway. And they'll dislike you even more because you've been fooling them, you've been lying to them and pretending. So they're going to dislike you even more. But the people who could have got to like you, the people who might need what you have, they're not going to see any of that because they don't get a chance, because you're hiding it away, so you never get to connect with them. It gets a really lonely place. It would be like having a shop, and your shop is filled with wonderful treasures and gifts and things that so many people need, things which will help so many people in life. They're all inside. But you hide the sign. You shutter the windows so nobody can see in, and you kind of maybe even bolt the door so nobody can get in case they dislike it, and you hide the shop down an alleyway. And then you wonder why everybody's just walking past and going to the other shops, which have got their wares on display in the window so people can see, oh, I like that, I'm going to go into that shop. It's the same when we wear all these masks. It gets a very, very lonely place.
Very true. Very, very true. So
yeah,
it's all about introducing masks and why we wear masks. Then what's the next stage? Releasing the masks.
Next stage is releasing the mask. Absolutely. So in this, we take a look at, well, what happens when we take a mask off? Aren't people going to dislike us? Well, yeah, some people will dislike you, but many more people will like you. Because remember, as we said, Christ, Buddha, Prophet Muhammad, anyone you could think of has had people who like them and had people who dislike them. Did any of those people focus on the people who dislike them? Oh, why don't you like me? Please like me. No, it doesn't work. Nobody likes whiny crying babies. It's just going to put even more people off. They simply acknowledge, okay, you don't like me. Cool. You go hang out with your people. I'm going to hang out here with the people who do like me. And share your message and just be you. So we kind of take a look at how we go about removing the masks. We start off with a simple question. I describe it as a simple question. It is a simple question. It's not one that's necessarily easy to answer, though.
It's not, no, but
but it doesn't matter how long it takes, because it's taken your entire life to get where you are. So what if it takes a few months for you to start moving to the next stage? The time's going to pass anyway, whether you do anything or not. So you might as well go for it. So we start off with a simple question, and then we go deeper. It's to really get behind the mask and really take you through various exercises, and because different things are going to work for different people. There is no one size fits all. So one method will work beautifully for one person. Another person, it will just alienate them and switch on. It's like, that's a complete waste of time. So we take you through various methods for different mindsets, where people are coming from different places, to help you loosen up and kind of basically get in touch, get back in touch with the real you, the true you, who's hiding behind all those masks.
I love it.
Because once you become aware of the fact you're wearing a mask, that's probably the biggest step you can take. It's just to be aware that these masks exist. Once you're even just being aware of the mask, sometimes can cause some of them to lose their hold. And then these other things we go through help you get in touch with who's behind all those masks and help you to remove and release the masks. And because a lot of people wear masks to protect against what they fear may happen, the thought of removing masks can release a lot of fear. So we also look at ways in which you can handle and address that fear, as you'd expect from UK's #1 fear strategist. We're going to take a look at how you can minimize or work with and reduce and eliminate the fears there. And we also take a look at a burning question so many people have: will the masks come back? And we take a look at finish off releasing your mask by looking at that, looking at what you can do to ensure masks don't come back again. And it's just nice, simple little things that just help keep them away. And awareness is a big key of that.
Brilliant, brilliant. And you're dead right. You've got to be aware of it before you make any change. Doesn't matter where you are, that's the first step of it. And then the last section is all about beyond the masks.
Yeah. So now you've got rid of your masks. Now what do? You've got a whole new life. And in some cases, literally a new life, because things are so very different. So we take a look at how you can start to create that new life, because that new life is going to happen anyway. Do you want it to be just whatever happens, or do you want to kind of take charge of it and set your course and create the life that you would like to live? You might as well. You've gone through all this to remove the mask. Let's build upon it. We take a look at 8 powerful words, which once you start living this life to the full, these 8 powerful words really resonate and really embody everything that you're living at that point. I share them in there just because it's a nice 8 words to kind of remind you, oh yeah, God, yeah, this really does encapsulate who I am now. When I share that with people, they you can kind of see this little switch going on. They're going, oh yeah, of course, I've never thought of it that way, and it helps buoy you up. We also look at ways in which you can anchor yourself. Anchoring it's a technical term. Basically, to let you know what an anchor is, for example, have you ever heard a song and it brings back some wonderful memories or emotions, for example?
Mm-hmm.
Or for some people, the smell of baking, and bam, they're transported back to their childhood. That's an anchor. All comes from Pavlov's work with his dogs, which most of us know about. And we can constructively use these anchors to help bring us into particular states. And I share how we can use anchors just to really help us to keep those masks away and to keep us as the real person that we are. We kind of take a look at when is a mask not a mask. And this came about from a question that often got asked during the time I was doing the talk. So again, this is why having presented this as a talk multiple times first really makes it more powerful. Because it's a question I'd never considered, but many people did. When are we pretending when we're kind of being nice to people, or when we have to act in particular ways? Isn't that a mask? And we explore the difference between a mask and just different facets of our personality, because we're going to act different ways. For example, in the workplace, to at home, to out with your mates, you work in slightly different ways. Are you wearing masks there, or are these just different facets of the same person? And how can you tell the difference between a mask and just a different aspect of you? We look at that, and then we just polish it all off by taking a look at, well, where to now? Now we've got all of this. Where do we go next? Where do we take life on this wonderful journey? And that's the process we go through.
It's brilliant. And I was really lucky enough. No, thank you. I was really lucky enough to be part of your beta tester group who read one of the drafts. And even though I'd seen the talk previously, what I loved about the book is that it's a lovely mix of real life stories of where you kind of give examples in day-to-day situations, but then also you throw in kind of the odd psychology or the kind of science-based backing to kind of prove that point or to back it up. So actually you kind of walk away knowing what your message is, knowing how it fits into day-to-day life, and then how to implement that because of the science. Reading it, I just loved how it all came together. The 3 different sections, the way that you've got the science-based backing behind it, it's just a wonderful, way of doing it. And, I do wonder if when you had that initial idea and it wasn't as refined as it is now, it would have been a completely different book, probably, for sure. Because you a different person at the time, and has that made a kind of difference between you, Keith, now compared to Keith back then?
Yeah, I would say I was definitely a significantly different person at that time. I was kind of in a much earlier stage of the journey that I've been going on over the past decade since I got into it, to all this stuff. I was a lot less aware of masks at that point. Not the fact that we wear them, but just a lot less aware of the detail about them, why we wear them, where they come from, how you go about getting rid of them. So it would have been a very different book. It would have been a much thinner book for sure. But I mean, part of what's in this book is, part of it has been that the process and journey that I've gone through as I've figured this stuff out. I'm kind of sharing this. I kind of wish I'd read this. I wish I'd read this book many years earlier. It would have made quite a difference. And yeah, you're right that there is a mix of the general content plus backing it up with illustrations and stories from other people, because sometimes it's inspiring to see what someone else has done. That can kind of like spark, oh, I get it. I see how this works. Plus a little bit of the science. We don't go into too much detail because it's not a textbook. I don't want to overload or bore people with in depth. But by just taking a high level look in an easy to understand way, we can see where all this is coming from. So it's not simply a do this and this will happen. It's like, here's what's going on. Here's why that works. Here's what you can do. That's why you get the results. Now let's go do it. So it gives you that bit more reassurance that we're not making this stuff up. This is where it's all coming from, and this is how we can work with it. Plus, the advantage of doing that is some of the exercises, as I said, they'll have different ones that appeal to different people. There may be some readers for whom none of those exercises particularly resonate strongly, but by sharing the background as well, those exercises then become examples of how others have done it. The reader is then able to go, oh, those don't really work for me, but now I see what's going on. I think if I do this, that's going to work for me. So that it's almost an element of being able to create your own way of releasing the mask as well, because you've got all the information you need.
It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Now we're recording, this is going out on Monday the 28th of September, so you can get your copy of this via an ebook version. It's $7.99, and it is obviously called The Masks We Wear. Now Keith, where can people get hold of the ebook right now?
Right now, you can get it on Kindle from Amazon. You can get it from Apple iBooks. You can get it from Barnes & Noble on their Nook book, and it should be available also on Kobo. So you can get it on all the main ebook readers right now at $7.99.
Brilliant. And then on Saturday the 3rd.
Yep, Saturday the 3rd, it comes out in paperback at $14.99. Available through all. As I say in all the adverts, available in all good bookshops. As in, it's in all the online bookshops. You can walk into a physical bookshop and have them order it as well. Fully available there. $14.99, The Mask We Wear, or you can go to my site and you can get it through there. A few quid off. I'll even scribble my name on it if you really want.
You golden person. And what is that website when people want to kind of check that out?
The website to find out specifically, I'll give you two websites. The one specifically for this book is keiths.link/masks. keiths.link/masks, or go to my main website, keithblakemorenoble.com. You won't miss it on there. It'll be obvious on there. You'll find out the book and all the other stuff that I do as well.
I'll also put those in the show notes as well. So you'll be able to either click on straight from the notes into that, or depending on your browser, you might have to copy that into it, but it'll be there anyway. And obviously, I would recommend checking out Keith's other 4 books. You know, we're focusing on the 5th book, The Mask We Wear, in this particular episode, but you have a wealth of content around the different topics in his first 4 books. So check those out, and you'll be able to check them out by going to his website and just seeing the whole kabang from there. So we're coming to the end of the episode now. So thank you very much for your time, Keith. I just want to urge all the readers and all the listeners and all the viewers to check it out. But remember, just like anything, you need to take action. You need to be in the right place, and you need to take action for it to really take effect. So take action. Order it now. Go onto your site where you order or you read your ebooks, and do that straight away. Keith, what's your final thought just to close the show, and that you want to leave the viewers and listeners with?
I would say my final thought is that change is always possible. And when you change your mind, you change your life.
On that note, I bid you a fond farewell. Keith, thank you very much for your time, buddy. And thank you very
Thank
much
you,
for
Gary.
everyone watching today. Take care.